Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, May the 17th, 2016. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week. It's in the Spotlight 4-in-1 show coming at you here on this Tuesday night. Hope your week is treating you well so far. Before we get going, as always, we remind you all the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show, have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And remember to use the hashtags, either hashtag itspotlight411, hashtag its5, that of course for our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast, or feel free to create your own hashtag depending on what we're talking about. Tonight's a wrestling show. We'll be talking wrestling, so you can do hashtag ITS wrestling. You could, at a night when we're talking about basketball, you can do hashtag ITS basketball. Create your own hashtag. Have fun with it. Be creative. Just don't be disrespectful or offensive. That's all we ask. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 4-in-1 on Facebook and make sure you like our page on finance. That being our fan page, of course. All right, so here's the deal for this week. As I mentioned last week, we're kind of flipping the script. Normally, we would do the special wrestling show on Thursday. As the pay-per-view for that we're covering, WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view is on Sunday, but because of the fact that I know we're going to be starting late on Thursday night, I want the opportunity to maybe condense the show, be able to move pieces around and shorten it up if I need to, if we start late or something. And that makes it harder when we have a wrestling show because we want to try to get to at least a few questions and comments. And of course, we got to cover the whole pay-per-view card. So that's why I opted to switch the wrestling show to tonight and then do our normal kind of show on Thursday, which will this week, of course, be a sports entertainment combo. Normally we would do that tonight, get all usual sports entertainment stuff in, but this time we'll be doing that on Thursday night, so that way we can, mess with the length and stuff as we see fit. So that's why we flipped the script. So tonight you'll get our usual wrestling show previewing WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view. We'll go through all the matches on the card, all that good stuff, and of course with time, depending on how much time we want to use, we'll address questions and comments from our fans. And again, many of you sent questions in before the show, but you can feel free to do that during the show as well if you'd like by email, Facebook, or Twitter. Again, Thursday night, sports entertainment combo. We'll be covering NBA playoffs. Anything else from sports that we have to cover, we will be sure to cover. And then, of course, on the entertainment side, box office beat, TV highlights, entertainment, news, discussion, all the usual stuff that we usually do on Thursday night. A lot of people have asked me about if we're going to do like a TV. A lot of stuff's been made of we talked a little bit about it last week on Thursday's show about what the TV networks are doing for the fall, all the upfronts, cancellations, renewals, all that kind of stuff. We will do that, but we will do that during the summer. I used to do it in May or even early June, and lately we've been doing it as we get closer to the fall. And I think that works better. So we won't be doing it anytime soon. So just keep that in mind. Next week, we'll only be having one show. That show will be on Tuesday. And again, it'll be a combo show, sports entertainment combo show. We'll be talking all the major sports entertainment stuff that we have to do. We'll do on Tuesday of next week. And we'll be preempted next Thursday. So keep all that in mind as you go into next week. And the week after, we'll be back for a normal schedule, I think. Maybe not. We'll see. But we'll be back. We should be back for a normal schedule the week after that. So, all right. My co-host Mike is on. Mike, here in the spotlight.
Yay.
Yay. Woohoo. Yay, 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 yay. Yeah.
All right, WWE. Translating my boo into woo. Woo, Roman. Woo. It's not what we're saying.
Wow. Yeah. Very accurate, though. All right. Sorry, I'm kind of moving around here. I guess this desk chair is not very pleasant. All right. So what we're going to do is what we normally do. Now, I want people to keep in mind something. This is going to probably be one of the shorter wrestling shows. Number one, we only have two of us because Justin can't be here tonight because he has practice and stuff. So,
softball.
Yeah. So he can't be here tonight, but that's okay because really this is, in a lot of ways, it's the same card we had for the previous pay-per-view. So I'm going to be honest, some of these matches we're probably not going to discuss at length at all. So keep that in mind as we go forward here. This will probably be one of the shorter wrestling shows we've ever done, which my co-host enjoys. So yeah.
Yeah, I like sleeping.
Yeah, so keep that in mind as we go on here. So as we always do, we'll start with the pre-show match, work our way to the main card, and along the way we'll discuss things that are appropriate to each match, storylines, angles. Then, of course, as I said, depending on time and how much time we want to use, we will address questions and comments, which will probably be the bulk of the show because, again, this is not the most unique card, I should say. So let's start off. Let's just get right to it. Let's start off with, well, actually, let me point something out real quick because there is, as is our usual tradition, if there's any major sporting events, something that we have to cover, we cover. And obviously tonight there is an NBA playoff game, so we want to make sure to score update you all throughout the night on that. And I almost didn't do that, so I apologize for that. Eastern Conference final game 1 will take place tonight, which is Toronto versus Cleveland. It gets on the way at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, so it hasn't gotten on the way yet. So obviously, we'll update you throughout the night on that. We have had the NBA lottery, draft lottery, that was decided tonight. So, that's obviously something that's a tradition. It's always like right before. I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can find out who got the number 1 pick.
Hey, that's right.
Today is the day that 76ers circle on their calendar at the beginning of every year.
Because let's face it, they suck.
Yes. I don't know if you heard this, Mike, but Dikembe Mutombo congratulated the Sixers on the lottery before it even started.
Well, having the most balls in the lottery, which is impressive if you actually think about it.
I just think that's kind of funny. He congratulated him before it even started.
But to be fair, the Celtics have a 15.6% chance because they kind of suck too.
All right, so we haven't gotten to the number 1 pick yet, but once it comes in, I'll let you all know. They're still working their way through.
The number 1. Okay, the Bulls have the 14th pick.
Right.
And the Suns via the Wizards will select the number 13 pick.
Right.
The number 1 pick usually happens at halftime, I thought.
Oh, it might. Well, all right, we'll keep you up to date on the draft lottery and, of course, Eastern Conference Finals Game 1. Last night, in a surprise, the Oklahoma City Thunder took Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals on the road, so we'll see how that pans out. But we'll talk more about that on Thursday. We'll update you on all the NBA stuff going on throughout the show tonight, as we like to do during this time of year, keep you all up to date on that. And let's start with the WWE stuff here. Let's get going here.
Well, real quick, we know up to the 4th pick. All right, so
okay.
Really quick, I'm just going to run through it. 14 is Chicago. 13 is Phoenix. The Suns. 12 is the Utah Jazz. 11, the Orlando Magic. The 10th pick in the draft will go to the Milwaukee Bucks. The 9th pick, despite the fact they're still playing, is the Toronto Raptors. At least I think it's the Toronto Raptors. Number 8 is the Sacramento Kings. Number 7 is the Denver Nuggets. Number 6 is the New Orleans Pelicans, which is still the weirdest name. Number 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 4, the number 4 team in the draft is the Phoenix Suns. They have 2 picks in the draft. And the Lakers are official. They can keep their lottery pick. The Lakers, if they were below like 5, they lose their pick. But since they're in the top 3, the Lakers are going to get their pick. So it's going to be it's down to the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Sixers. For who gets the top pick? For who wastes the top pick?
Okay. All right.
Because Ben Simmons is a bust. Right.
All right. So let's. All right. So Mike, I probably Mike will keep us up there because he seems interested in that. We will update you on the draft lottery and the Eastern Conference Finals Game 1 throughout the night tonight, because obviously that's of significance. All right, so let's get going. First off, we'll start with the pre-show match, which is going to be between Dolph Ziggler. It was announced last night, Mike, after you left. Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin in a no disqualification match is your pre-show match.
I watched the Mark Remark today, so I did know about that. I did see that.
Right. So that is your pre-show match. So
I'm not impressed.
Well, I'll start this one off because really, I mean, look, we're revisiting a match that was on the card. Actually, it wasn't even on the card. It was a pre-show match last month, I think, too. Baron Corbin, if they wanted to spotlight him, this is one weird way of doing it. But look, here's the thing. Baron Corbin's going to win this match because it's also, I mean, if they have any qualms about protecting Ziggler, it's a no DQ match. All right, and it's almost like designed to get Baron Corbin more heel heat. I understood why they had him lose last month, early in the month at Payback, because you know what? If you've seen, what's the name of that show? I forgot what the name of the show was. What was the name of the show? Oh, Breaking Ground. Breaking Ground. Pardon me. If you've seen Breaking Ground,
the network show,
yeah, Breaking Ground.
Okay.
Yeah. If you've seen,
the third pick in the NBA draft will be the Boston Celtics. Pick in the NBA draft will be the Los Angeles Lakers, which means his team in the NBA has paid off. So the Philadelphia 76ers are officially that have the number one pick in the NBA draft. God, they've had the number one pick or top 5 pick for the last couple of years, and they still suck.
Good to know all their hard work paid off.
Good to know all their hard work. This team, the Philadelphia 76ers, passes handed to them by the NCAA national champion Villanova Wildcats.
It's very true. You know what's
It's very true that those cats are great.
That's a really good thing for the Lakers to get the number 2 pick. That's a very good thing. But you know what's think about the Celtics. They made the playoffs this year. And they're going to get a heck of a pick. So they might get themselves something good here and further their chances next year of getting further into the Eastern Conference playoffs next year.
The teams with the biggest potential impact in the draft, immediate impact, are the fact that the Raptors, who are still playing, by the way,
you're right,
who start game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, they have a lottery pick right now. Get an immediate kind of impact. And the Celtics, who made the playoffs this year despite being kind of crappy, hi, welcome to the East.
Yeah.
We've been like this for 10 years. Eventually, we're going to get a team that's not going to suck. The teams that won't suck and maybe will be good, as competitive as the West. However, with that being said, yeah, and the Celtics are going to have the most immediate impact. So if I'm a draft pick, if I'm a high level draft pick, to get drafted by or Philadelphia, not Philadelphia. I would not want to go to Philadelphia. Ben Simmons to Philadelphia. Its population.
You know, it's interesting though, because teams like Boston and Toronto are not going to be looking for projects. They're going to be looking for instant results.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who they look at. I mean, if you're for a lot of these guys, you're going to have a very unique opportunity to get on a team that's playoff bound. And those two teams will make the playoffs next year. You know, that's going to be you have an opportunity here. There's two teams in the lottery here that are guaranteed to be playoff bound next year. So that's a very unique opportunity. So that's something good for some of these guys that are going to be in the top 10 or so. All right. So we know.
But
Go ahead.
I mean, for a team like Philadelphia, like look, last year they got Jaleel Okafor in the draft. 2014 they got Joel Embiid at
They
center.
better go with a guard.
Oh, don't rush it. We got Michael Carter Williams in 2013. He's not even there anymore, I think.
Yeah, they traded him.
All right. In 2012, they had Harkless. That was their highest pick at 15. And in 2011, they got some player which never showed up in the NBA, I believe.
And they traded Harkless too.
They did show up, and they traded him promptly to the Orlando Magic.
They traded a lot of their top picks away.
In 2010, they had Evan Turner. Evan Turner, does he still play? Yes, he does. Play the Pacers.
You know what's nice about the Sixers? They draft them, they develop them, they send them packing.
To suck.
I'm convinced they do at this point. Remember, they made the. It all started that one year they made the playoffs, and they actually were very competitive. And then they blew up the team in the offseason. They haven't looked back.
They blew up the team because they got upset because they got competitive and they got good. Sure, they just need to do ownership or something.
Well, anyway, we know the draft lottery, so we'll update you on. Now we move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1. Between the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers from Cleveland. That game on ESPN getting underway right about now, so we'll update you throughout the night on that score, obviously. But the draft lottery, and no surprise, is the Sixers is the number 1 pick. That has now been completed.
Still suck.
Going back to the pre-show match, again, as I said, this match is designed to, last month you had Baron. I understand why Baron Corbin lost last month, okay? There was kind of like an ego check moment, all right? So now they're going to have Baron Corbin win this match. Why? No DQ. It's a chance to get heel heat. He'll probably cheat to win or do something horrible to Dolph Ziggler. And that, it's just, the result of this match we know, especially since Ziggler won last month in cheap fashion. So, yeah, it's not going to be much of a match. It's going to be a way to get the crowd going early on, especially being a no DQ match. So Baron Corbin's going to win. I don't expect it to be 100% clean, but Baron Corbin's going to win. Mike, go ahead.
Noel still plays in basketball?
Yep. Yep.
I don't know what kind of season he had.
Not very good.
Probably should have stayed next year.
Yep.
Looking at the roster, Nick Stauskas is still playing. Because Joel Embiid is injured. Elton Brand still has a job in today's NBA. Oh, God bless him. I know where he ended up.
Huh.
It's just, I'm looking at this roster, it's like, God, why? It should be better than they are, but they're not. And the reason why I'm looking at the roster instead of talking about this match is because this match has had approximately 0 build in the last couple of weeks. Maybe they had one match where Ziggler promptly got his ass whipped. Had any storyline built since then?
Pretty much no.
No. Maybe they got like 2 minutes on SmackDown. That was it. Why should we care about this match? The fact that I care more about the shittiest team in the NBA's current roster than about this match gives a state of where's my storyline development? Feud. And because they're blowing off the feud, Ziggles must lose. And Baron Corbin should have that jetpack stapled right to his butthole. He's going to win this match. This is probably going to be the tamest match on the show. I'm going to make that prediction as well. I'm also going to make the prediction that the Sixers are going to suck next year, regardless of what they do.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. First match we're going to cover on the card. I'm just going to get this out of the way now because I want to put more emphasis on the title matches because they matter more. This match is between again a rematch from last pay-per-view here. We have Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho in the first ever Asylum match, which is basically a glorified decorative steel cage match. So that's what we have. Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose in the first ever Asylum match. Mike, go ahead.
People, don't think about this one too hard. It has no resemblance at all to Raven's Clockwork Orange House of Madness match from TNA. No resemblance. I'm just kidding. It's a blatant ripoff of the match. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Blatant ripoff of the damn match. God. Look. Dean still has to win. Still needs a win. They're going to put this in this glorified steel cage match, which there's no escape. The only way to win, much like in Raven's House of Horrors Clockwork Orange bullshit match from TNA. The way to win is to pinfall or submit. So that's the match.
Yeah.
I think Dean Ambrose still has to win this match. I really do. Where they need him to be. They need him to get a couple of high-profile wins so when he inevitably puts over somebody else.
Yeah.
If I were a Dean Ambrose fan, and judging by Tumblr, there is a lot of those still. Whether or not eventually he's going to win the big one.
Right.
Look, I think they should have cut Seth Rollins' run short by a couple months last year. I do. I think Dean should have won the title at least twice. I would put Dean over. The fact that they didn't, it's not telling. You got Kevin Owens kind of nipping at everybody's heels. Coming back. John Cena's coming back. Randy Orton's coming back. They have to do something with Bray Wyatt someday.
Right.
Cut in front of Dean. Sami Zayn is the next big face. They just have to establish him. They just have to and God knows, once Shinsuke Nakamura comes up, that's it.
Yeah.
If Dean does not have the title by the time Nakamura comes up, I doubt he's ever going to get it.
Right.
This is rushing ahead because the point is they need to have Dean credible for eventually when all these things start happening. The win here because look at this point, Jericho's Jericho.
Right.
Over, guys. Jericho's going to lose. Ambrose has to get a win here.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I didn't mean to go off on a giant tangent, but sometimes somehow.
No, you're fine.
I know.
Look, this whole program, and a lot of people think the reason why they did what they did with Jericho at WrestleMania, having him beat Styles, was because they knew that Dean Ambrose was going to need something after WrestleMania. Because there's no way he was going to beat Brock Lesnar, even if the match was better than it actually was. So there was no neat way that was going to happen. So because of that, you needed Jericho to have some kind of value to put Ambrose over. Ambrose did beat Jericho last month. It's not like I was surprised to see this feud get another match. I thought there was always that possibility. I didn't think it could go to 3 matches, although they've done that with Jericho before. Even if he loses the first 2, they've done a third. But I don't think that will happen here. I think that, the fact of doing like a steel cage match, I think it's the blow off to the feud because they can just put Dean Ambrose in Money in the Bank at Money in the Bank and make that work. So I think this is it. The last few weeks, I think this feud's been running on fumes. They've gone to some crazy theatrical stuff just to keep the feud going, just to keep it somewhat entertaining, because they really didn't have anywhere else to go with it.
up with that stupid music.
You know what? And the campy, cheesy side of me loved it, and then the part of me that's like, you know, I want some good intensity that doesn't have to be drawn from campy music. Hated it. So it's a weird thing, but you know, I mean, I appreciate the fact they felt like they had to add something to this. I do think it needed something. So doing the steel cage thing is going to be fun. You know, look, Ambrose has to win. I think Ambrose will win. They're treating it like a co-main event thing, which I guess they kind of have to. Even though I think the IC title match should be the co-main event, but nonetheless, Ambrose is going to win this match. They'll probably give it a lot of time. They'll have all the theatrics. The only thing I'm really curious about is whether they're going to actually use some of the things that they're teasing they're going to use, like the barbed wired bat, which I doubt they'll use because, you know, they don't like blood. But it is Extreme Rules, and they have a lot of blood there at times, so who knows. But look, Dean Ambrose is going to win this match. He should win this match, and then both guys need to move on. Jericho can go put somebody else over, and Dean Ambrose can move on to other things. But it's you know what, it actually will do him good to have 2 straight pay-per-views over a credible opponent. So, all right. I want to get that one out of the way because it was a non-title match. Let's start next with the U.S. Championship match between champion Kalisto and Rusev. So it's nice that this is not on the pre-show, and it's nice that Kalisto's not facing Ryback again, even though their last match was actually pretty good. For those of you that do not know, and I'm assuming this is storyline because the match is still good, is still in play. WWE announced that Kalisto will not appear on SmackDown tonight due to injury sustained at the hands of Rusev. Apparently, according to WWE's medical staff, Kalisto suffered a strained intercostal muscle and a rectus spinal muscle attributed to Rusev's accolade submission maneuver. Despite his injuries, Kalisto is still planning on defending his U.S. title against Rusev this Sunday. So that was according to WWE.
It's a storyline. It's a storyline reason for him just not being there. That's
right, but I kind of like it because it adds to the story, so it's a good thing. So Rusev and Kalisto, which I think is going to be a fun. First of all, you got Rusev is very athletic. Very athletic. He's kind of hit his stride over the last year. He's really coming to his own. He's very athletic, and with Kalisto being a luchador, I think they're going to do some cool things with this match. And I really hope they give him a little bit of time because I think it could be a really fun, athletic match, explosive kind of match. I think Rusev's going to win here. First of all, Kalisto's held the title since January, and after they got him past Del Rio, they did absolutely nothing with him. Which is a shame because he had a nice little push coming out of TLC after the ladder spot, and they kind of squandered the heck out of it around WrestleMania because they just focused on too many other things. And look, the Ryback stuff could have been good. The problem is they did nothing with it. Their matches weren't bad. They just did nothing with the storyline. So, and they're kind of doing with the Rusev-Kalisto storyline what they should have did with the Ryback-Kalisto storyline. But I digress. I think it could be a fun match, and I hope they give him enough time, but I do think Kalisto is. I think Kalisto's going to lose here. I think Rusev is going to take the U.S. title back on Sunday. Mike,
disagree. Look, Ryback and Kalisto match could have really been something special. The problem is it got lost. It probably should have been like it's kind of like a good, solid mid-card kind of feud, you know? It got lost. Ryback got really frustrated, and honestly, you can't really blame Ryback for getting frustrated over that nonsense.
Oh, no.
Because Ryback has worked his ass off. He has improved. And it's a sad that if that's Ryback's last match for the company, he went out there and worked a hell of a match with Kalisto. True. Then we get Rusev. I think Rusev's going to win. For Rusev to get back on the horse, they're going to give him back the U.S. title. It's kind of almost like a reset with him. They're going to make him this monster motherfucking heel. Except they're not going to give him the streak. They're not, handcuffed by Rusev's undefeated streak. So if he needs to lose a match here and there, he can. With that being said, going to win. This match should be fun. Kalisto should be a bigger star than he is, but again, they lost him too. So it's just the sad state of the company.
Agreed.
Anyways.
All right. Here's the to win. Okay. Next up, we have the sorry about that. I almost misspoke. Tag team championship match between the tag team champion New Day and the number one contender Vaudevillains, who advanced past Enzo and Cass simply because of Enzo's injury, although I expect them to win that match anyway. So that is your match. Mike, go ahead.
Go out of the box here. Not that much out of the box. The New Day have held those titles for over 200 days now. The obvious WWE wants to get those belts on Enzo and Cass. I don't know what you do with the New Day the titles, because that's going to be the interesting thing. Once they lose it, I feel like they're out. They're kind of out of the picture for the time being, you know?
Yeah.
Other guys that need the belt. And look, we let the New Day hold the belts. They've done great things with them. They're goofier than what they're expect them to be, but I think we're gonna go with the Vaudevillains here because this is the opportunity to kind of have them days run, build a new team. I feel like you're gonna win here. I just feel like that's the way it's going. I don't have any solid thing. I mean, I guess the New Day are probably going to get their one up on the Vaudevillains tonight. Usual night before SmackDown. The Vaudevillains, even though the segment was entertaining as hell, the Vaudevillains got the one up on the New Day, which made sense. To be seen as a threat. But I'm going to take the Vaudevillains for the titles. I think your SummerSlam match is going to be Enzo and Cass versus Villains for the belts. My opinion.
I 100% agree. I think we talked about this last month, how we thought, and we read about this from some of the rumored Reddit stuff that was out there, you know what I mean, involving the tag team division. I think it makes sense. First of all, doing it the way I think they're going to do it puts over the Vaudevillains and eventually Enzo and Cass. Gets two teams over instead of one. The New Day has held the titles long enough now that first of all, you need a heel team to take it off of them so that you can transition it to the other big face tag team, which is Enzo and Cass. So to have the Vaudevillains be transitional champions is beneficial, first of all, because it gets them over. And it's going to make the heel, and then you don't have that whole new face versus face thing with New Day and Enzo and Cass, and it kind of waters down everything. So doing it this way is much better. I think the New Day is losing on Sunday. And look, they've held it long enough. Their reign has credibility. It's the time to do it. The Vaudevillains, especially about how way everything went down, sad with Enzo and that, this will even add to their heat by having them beat the New Day. Yeah, I think the Vaudevillains win on Sunday. And, it won't be much. I mean, it's not going to be this crazy epic match or anything, but, they'll beat them, and then they'll win the rematch, and then you'll see Enzo and Cass back in the picture looking for revenge for what happened to Enzo, and then that'll be your big SummerSlam feud, and they'll win it at SummerSlam. So I think it's pretty much a given. That's the way it's going to work at this point. So, all right. Next match we're going to talk about. We'll go with the Divas match next, which got the main event slot last night. Between the women's champion Charlotte and Natalya. they had a good match at Payback. They really did have a good match. You know, you got the screw job ending, which, all right, you know what? You had Brett there, did the whole screw job thing. You know,
dumb as hell.
I mean, you know what? You know what? We should have predicted that something like that would happen. We should have predicted it. I don't know why we didn't. It was dumb as hell. Look, we all knew that Charlotte was going to win by cheating. That was a given, but they didn't have to go there. It was really petty, but whatever. To me, this is the end of this feud. If they try to get one more match out of this, it's ridiculous because I think the purpose behind this now, okay, was obviously this whole feud was filler, but I think the purpose behind this is simply right now, at least this match, the way to do it, because the stipulation is if Ric Flair interferes in any way, even if he walks down the ramp, Charlotte has to forfeit the match and forfeit the title. That's what they had last night, too. If she didn't sign the contract, she would have forfeited the title right there. So the whole point is for Charlotte to win on her own. So basically what's going on here is they want her to validate her title win by getting a clean win over someone, because she hasn't had a clean win in how long? So she beats Natalya clean, and then she moves on to the next opponent, whoever that may be. I don't think it's going to be Sasha yet, because I think they're saving Sasha Banks for SummerSlam. But when Sasha, who is the person I think is going to take it off her, gets it, there's going to be some credibility there because Charlotte would have beaten somebody clean. I think that's what they're trying to do here. So they're going to have a long, athletic kind of match. It's going to be a submission match, mind you, so keep that in mind. And Charlotte's going to get Natalya to tap out. That's what's going to happen. And she's going to do it without Rick, and you know, that's going to feed into her character's ego more. So, yeah, I think it's going to actually be a really good match. It's going to be. I like the fact that we're not going to have Rick at ringside to kind of, you know, it could just be a pure wrestling match for the first time in a while. So, yeah, I think Charlotte wins clean this time over Natalya. Mike.
Okay. Honest to God, going to be Natty here, and you know what? I'm not really going to say too much stuff different than you, because I think you're right. We need a match to kind of bridge the gap from Money in the Bank to SummerSlam, because Sasha Banks, and that's the whole reason I feel like they're keeping Sasha Banks off of television, to keep her fresh, because eventually there's going to be Sasha Banks. Or Sasha Banks is the next challenger, and we're getting Bayley versus Sasha at SummerSlam, which is a complete possibility. Because Bayley, you feel like with Bayley, same with Finn Balor, they're kind of ending their runs now in NXT. You kind of feel it coming. And Regal just signed the whole Balor versus win a cage at the next special, which is I feel like that's kind of like Balor versus Owens in Brooklyn at the ladder match. That was the end of Kevin Owens' NXT run. So that's where I think we are. But to do with this, Bayley's probably going to put over Asuka in a big match or two, because they're not really doing anything with Asuka right now, other than her beating up Eva Marie in the world. Because what happens there, it doesn't impact what happens here too much, because in the end, Charlotte's going to actually make Natalya submit. Natalya's last kind of big go-round for the time being. Because then we're going to get Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks now or Sasha Banks later, you just have to find a diva not named Becky Lynch to kind of bridge the gap. And right now, that's, let's see, Naomi kind of off television, and Emma off television, and Dana Brooke kind of like, oh, now I'm here without Emma. What do I do? Becky carried her through a decent match. You can't have Becky go after Charlotte lose again.
Right.
Because eventually down the road, Becky, you got to kind of elevate Becky Lynch. because she's kind of going to fall into the Natty role of she's the face diva who's always going to get a reaction. That being said, I'm kind of beating around the bush tonight. I'm kind of just.
There's not a lot you can say about these.
There's really not a whole lot here because it's literally the same thing as last week.
Right.
Charlotte's going to win. It's just Ric Flair's not going to be there last time. I'm glad they got the main event segment. I had any investment in last night was the Intercontinental title stuff because, hell, my guys. The fact that we got for the first time in WWE TV, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn teamed up. A big moment, but Charlotte is going to make Natty tap to the figure 8.
All right. Next, I saved the IC title match for second to last because I do think it should be the co-main event. I do think that because it's probably been the best build of everything, and it's got the most fascinating, charismatic guys in the match here, right now anyway. And we got the champion Miz, who will be accompanied by Maurice, against Cesaro, Sami Zayn, and of course Kevin Owens. And of course I left this one from Mike to start, so go ahead.
Yes, and I appreciate it. It's like the same thing. Imagine if Sheamus and Kevin Owens are on another show together in singles matches. You're going to save both those matches for me, yeah?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do. This is of the matches on the show, I think these two might be the most unpredictable. Because, well, this one in particular can go several different ways. The only guy who doesn't have a chance at winning the Intercontinental title in this match, and it pains me to say it, look, I don't want him to block me on Twitter. I'm a big fan. Let me say this. I feel like he should win every match ever. Let me preface this by saying, I feel like Kevin Owens should win every match ever. Based on predicting going to win this one. He's not going to get pinned either.
No.
But he's not going to win this match. Honestly, you have a 3-way chance for the person walking out with the Intercontinental title, and every single one of these options is perfectly valid. Every single one of these options.
Right.
It's perfectly valid. If you had to put a gun to my head to predict, I'm going to say The Miz. I'm going to say The Miz is going to retain. I think Cesaro is going to eat the pinfall. However, I can see Cesaro winning it here to give him a little bit of validation. Miz is going to eat the pin. Sami Zayn could win the title because they're going to need him to do something, have something. They're going to need Sami Zayn to kind of validation, to have something, for him to have something to do, because Sami Zayn, I feel like, is the next big face. He's like the Daniel Bryan face. That's it. He's going to be the most over face in the company. That's where I feel Sami Zayn is. Give him something to do, and I feel like giving him a solid Intercontinental Championship run, where if every feud is as competitive as this one, then he'll be over really quickly, really soon. I feel like it's going to, but I feel like they're going to do that next month. They want Zayn in the Intercontinental Championship match, Money in the Bank match. I feel like they could put Cesaro in that match. I feel like Owens is probably going to be in it to win it, and he's probably going to win it. I feel like Miz versus Sami Zayn is the next logical one-on-one singles Intercontinental title match at Money in the Bank, which means Miz has to survive one more month. Miz is doing really, really good in this role. He's had a bit of career resurgence where he's kind of holding his own on the mic with Kevin Owens, and that's not surprising because Miz is great. It's great. We on this show have always advocated Miz to do more. So, that being said, I am going to pick The Miz to retain. He's going to pin Cesaro.
Okay. A couple weeks ago, if you had asked me who's going to win this match, I would have said Cesaro. And then there was a brief period where I thought they might hand it to Sami Zayn. But I think their whole narrative right now is that Sami Zayn can't win the big one against Kevin Owens. Something they started up in NXT, and that's kind of the narrative they want to go with. And I think that's the right narrative to go with. With that being said, Kevin Owens is in this match, and I don't think they want Sami Zayn to win a match with Kevin Owens in it. I mean, the Rumble was one thing because all you did was toss him over the ropes. I honestly think, Mike, I think you're 100% right. I think, they've realized that the program is Miz Sami Zayn. Miz has done great work. I think that, maybe the idea at the beginning of this was for Cesaro to be the guy, but I think they realized they have to give Sami Zayn something. And you got Miz, who's really over right now. Miz is look, this is not a surprise. Miz has done this before. I think Miz is just like Jericho. They know how to get guys over. They can be credible. They maintain credibility no matter what. Miz can go out there after being gone for 6 months and instantly people are back to booing him. He's that good. That's just the way he is. He's immune to not getting a reaction. He will always get a reaction. So he's somebody, and ever since the AJ Styles program with him and Jericho and that, he's had a nice run over, and then bringing Maurice in. So I really think that it will benefit WWE if they keep the title on Miz and have Zayn take it off of Miz. I really think that, and they can play with that a little bit too. Like, Miz beats Cesaro here. He pins Cesaro. All right. And then you got Sami Zayn goes, all right, well, listen, Miz, I pinned you on Raw the week before Extreme Rules. So I get another match. And then, of course, Miz will probably cheat to win that first match. And then you give it to Sami Zayn at the next pay-per-view. Or you can maybe drag it out to SummerSlam. I don't know, depending on how you do the program. But, it's you can go with that. And then Cesaro I feel bad for Cesaro because I feel like this was supposed to be his program, but you have to Sami Zayn's here. You need to give him something. He's the face of the future here. I think it's more important to go with the Sami Zayn program. So yeah, I think Sami Zayn is your next program here for Miz. I think Miz will win this match. I think you'll have something like where Owens probably does something to Cesaro. Zayn pulls Owens out of the ring. They fight ringside, and Miz gets a skull-crushing finale on Cesaro, and that's it. Something along those lines. It'll be like a double finisher on Cesaro or something. Or you run another triple threat. At Money in the Bank, and then you get Cesaro out of it permanently, and then you get Zayn and Miz starting at Battleground, and then he cheats to win that one, and then you have Zayn have his big moment at SummerSlam, which may be what they want to do. You can extend it a number of ways, but you know what? I think the program ultimately is Miz, Sami Zayn, with Sami Zayn winning it off of Miz. So, yeah, I think Miz is retaining on Sunday. And I don't have an issue with that. And I think they should do more with Miz. I wish they had 2 Money in the Banks. Once you go to Kevin Owens, once you go to The Miz. That's the way I feel about it. But not just because I'm a fanboy. I just think he's done. I think the two of them have been the shining lights during this whole period of the last few months. So, all right.
And say what you will about The Miz. The Miz is easily one of the best heels in the company.
He is.
And let's face it, his WWE title run forever. Oh, I can't believe they gave the title to him. A, that's bullshit because he was the hottest heel at the time. He did boost the ratings as champion. 3, he'd be a heel champion that is supposed to be booed, unlike the face champion you have right now.
Miz made a title reign which featured feuds with Jerry Lawler and The Rock and John Cena work. I mean, that whole period of time, he made everything that was thrown at him work. He really did. I mean, that was, he could have easily been lost in the shuffle, and he did it. In fact, I think he did some of the best work of his career when The Rock showed up. So they should do a hell of a lot more at Miz than they do. It's really kind of pathetic that they don't, but maybe they will now with Marister. I don't know. The whole Total Divas thing. I don't know. All right. Last match on the card is the main event, the WWE Championship match between the champion Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles. Obviously, that means the Usos will be probably at ringside in Roman Reigns' corner, and the club will be in AJ Styles' corner.
Can we not call them that here? Can we just say the Bullet Club?
Sure, the Bullet Club. In AJ Styles' corner. It is an Extreme Rules match, no DQ, so there's going to be shenanigans. They're all going to get involved. Let me start by saying I think that they've made this whole angle, this whole storyline more interesting than I probably would have thought they would. I do like the psychological aspects. I like what they've done with AJ and how it built up, and then on Monday he finally snapped and started hitting Roman with the chair. I like the inclusion of the Usos and the Bullet Club. However, they need to pay something off here. They didn't do it at at Payback, and I thought, okay, they dropped the ball. But then the week or two after, they did okay with it. They need to pay something off here. Somebody has to betray somebody. Something big has to happen in this match. I'm not saying that Roman needs to lose the title here, although I'd love to see that. But there has to be something here. Because I don't think this feud's ending on Sunday. I think you're going to get one more. I do think you're going to get one more. All right, for whatever way they want to go for. Maybe the Bullet Club does what we thought they would do at the last pay-per-view, which is they betray AJ Styles, costing him the match. Or, there's some kind of unconclusive finish. Or maybe they surprise the hell out of the world and give AJ Styles the WWE Championship. Which would be the one hell of an angle. Either way, I don't think this feud's ending here. I think you're going to get at least one. I think you'll get one more match. So, especially with all the guys that are coming back over the next couple weeks. So, I think, look, they had a great match at Payback. That match was great. It was a great, great match. And in a way, in hindsight, you kind of like the fact that they didn't have shenanigans stop it, because it really was a good match. It didn't deserve to be marred by shenanigans. So, I think they'll have a good match here, although it'll be more theatrical because you'll have the Extreme Rules stuff and you'll have more people interfering and all that stuff. But I think it'll still be an interesting match. I really hope that they take some chances and do something with it. Doesn't mean you have to be a title change. Just do something. And I think they will. I'm thinking you're going to get what you would have got, what we all thought we'd get 3 weeks ago, which is I think the Bullet Club is going to betray AJ and cost them the match. I think that's what's going to happen here. So I think Roman Reigns will retain because the Bullet Club betrayed AJ. That's what I think is going to happen. Mike, go ahead.
And this is the other match I said was totally unpredictable and hard to say who's going to win. If they want to go for the most interesting outcome, then you'll put the title on AJ Styles. You will. Because A, nobody thinks it's actually going to happen. B, you avoid the most shocking twist. Ooh. C, you end the Reigns experiment, which everybody wants to see. So, and it's a no DQ match, so they can find a way around it. Protecting Styles against the loss. You protect Reigns with the loss. Here's the thing. Styles winning the championship here makes much sense, and B, would give exactly what the fans want. So C, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's not going to die. I feel like it's going to be Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, again. It's this Sunday, right? Shit. I'm pretty sure I'm going to walk out as soon as Roman Reigns hits his spear for the pinfall. Well, now, if Roman's going to win, how you do it? Do you just kind of keep on going with the status quo and have the club and... Excuse me, I used the phrase I asked you not to use. Are you going to have the Bullet Club turn on AJ? Like everybody's predicting? Oh, and they're going to side with Finn Balor? Or are they going to side with Roman Reigns? Trying to just have, hey, the Usos come out, and the club comes out, and they fight. Do the chaos. AJ eats a spear. That's what I think is going to happen, by the way. I don't think anybody's going to turn on anybody here. I think AJ Styles and Anderson and Gallows are going to walk out together, and I think the Usos and are going to walk out together. Will this be the end of the feud? Probably not. Though, if they were smart, Gallows will win here. That you can burn off the Roman Reigns feud either next month or the month after, because I feel like the heel was going to win Money in the Bank. Like a heel, and I've already said his name, and I'm a fanboy of him, and I'm not going to say any more than that, is going to win Money in the Bank, and he's probably going to have a quick cash. And that could be your feud through the summer.
Right.
That being said, it's hard to pick against Roman Reigns here. Because, regardless of the scuttlebutt saying, oh, well, they're down on Roman Reigns now, he's not getting the reactions they want, blah, 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 blah. Regardless of all that scuttlebutt, you're going to lose it here.
Yeah.
I feel like. Even though the time is ripe, you have every excuse, and he won't look weak for losing here. I feel like this is going to be it. So, is going to retain. I can't pick against AJ, even though it'd be the smarter option.
And, you raise a good point, too, about the fact that it is Extreme Rules. You have the opportunity to use the weapons, and, for all this shenanigans, you can actually take it off Roman and not make him look weak here. You really do have the opportunity, but they're not going to do it. I doubt it. Really, really doubt it. All right, so we covered all the matches. I apologize. It wasn't the best analysis, but then again, like I said, these are a lot of these matches are the same from last. I mean, look, we just
they did analysis, but they didn't put a lot of effort into this card this time around either. So,
well, a lot of it's the same feuds. It's exactly the same feuds. Most of these that we had at Payback. It was very little that was done in between to make them unique and different. So it's going to be the same. Hey, at least look at the bright side. Next pay-per-view is one of my favorites, Money in the Bank. So
talking about unpredictable.
Yeah, that's always a fun one because there's so many options, and then we'll have SummerSlam. It'll get better after this. This one's, Extreme Rules is usually in the spot that Payback is, and usually you get some of these new, you burn off the WrestleMania feud, you start new ones. They switch roles this year. Usually we're doing the same thing with Payback. We're like, oh, these matches we all saw at Extreme Rules. They just reversed the order this time. So, all right, let's get to some questions here now that we got through the card. With all the rumors of more releases after WWE Extreme Rules, including the rumored release of a top-tier diva, do you think that this could be Natalya with the current push that she's undergoing?
Yeah. Yeah.
The only other person I could see it being is Paige because, there's that talk out there that Paige is up for a role on Grimm. And if she's out there actively trying to find Rose in Hollywood and stuff, then maybe she just doesn't like her role and maybe she just wants to leave.
She has. Here's the thing: Paige is the top of the division, right, and she has no role.
Yeah, she's not doing anything. So I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, that's why I can kind of see it being her. Like, you know what? I've already won the Divas title twice. You know, you put me on Total Divas. She's had all this exposure. She's done a WWE movie, I think, before. You know, and if she's getting all this attention from Hollywood to do other things, I could see her saying enough's enough and leaving.
I can always come back at a later time.
Right. I could see her doing it. I don't think it is. I'm just saying that if there's any other person, as far as you think of top tier, right? And the Bellas have already left. And I don't see Charlotte leaving. I don't see Becky leaving. There's nobody else that you consider top tier. It really have to be either Natalya. I mean, Tamina's injured, if you want to consider her top tier. So it really would have to be Natalya or Paige. If you think about it. So I think, but I could see, like, especially since they gave the Divas the main event slot last night, which they only did, they did that back at TLC, but I think that was when they were trying to make the whole Divas Revolution statement. But, you know, this time it was odd that they gave the Divas. I'm glad they did. It wasn't a bad segment. It was much better than the TLC segment. I thought it was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad. I am glad that they gave that to them, but the way that they're treating this, I half expected them to have like a put your career on the line kind of thing, but they didn't. But, you know, maybe that, you know, I mean, they brought Brett in and for the match back at Payback, and I could see why people think that it could be Natalya. I think it's either Natalya or Paige. I think it's more likely it's Natalya, but who knows? That rumor might not even be true at all. There's just a rumor that was out there on some of the dirt sheets and stuff. So who knows? You know, their accuracy is not always the best. Okay, let's see here. What do you guys think of the possibility of the Usos betraying Roman Reigns, costing him the title?
Never gonna happen.
Oh my goodness! First of all, they've been on this. Look, they've been on this Usos Roman bloodline kick. I mean, it's the same thing as Ambrose. You know, they're never going to have these guys betray each other.
Although you don't see Ambrose running around with the Roman Reigns right now.
Well, he did it for long enough.
Long enough. However, Ambrose continuously getting upstaged and buried at the expense of, at the behest of Roman Reigns. Hard to get Dean away from him for the time being.
Oh, yeah.
As for the Usos and Roman, most have Teflon booking in the tag division. They don't get the reactions they once did. WWE still thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're pretty sloppy. It's like arson, murder, and jaywalking there. They're not as good. Get the reactions WWE thinks they get, but thinks they get. However, they're never going to break that bond on screen. Sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Right. You know, the thing, I mean, they like to draw upon that bond. And plus, you got the Usos on Total Diva. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They've had opportunities to do it. They haven't done it. They're not going to do it. I mean, it would be fascinating. It would be a great storyline, but they're not going to do it. All right. There's been another recent string of WWE injuries. Emma is out with a back injury that required surgery. Kevin Owens was injured over the weekend and thankfully seems to be all right enough to work. We already heard rumors of AJ Styles having a few nagging injuries. What do you think WWE can do to combat the injury epidemic that has plagued them since midway through last year? Is it really the schedule? Because the schedule has been the same pretty much since the 90s, and it's never been an issue before. What do you think is the cause for this epidemic?
Okay, first of all, let's bust that myth. Wrestlers have this giant phrase, and it's been said to death. Wrestlers work hurt. Wrestlers work hurt. If you can move, you can go. If you can't move, then you get sent home. Mm-hmm. Wrestlers always work hurt since the beginning of pro wrestling. this notion that wrestlers, what was it? The schedule's been the same since the 90s. No, the schedule now is actually way lighter than the 90s. And B, yeah, they were all injured in the 90s. To take time off in the 90s. They would have nagging injuries for years and never getting taken, and they never get taken care of. Why do you think drug use was so rampant in the early 80s and the 90s?
It's a very good point.
Stuff to dumb the pain down.
Good point.
And besides, the dirt sheets weren't as heavy, weren't as big back then. Yes, Meltzer had a lot of. The Pro Wrestling Torch was pretty big then too. However, they weren't readily accessible to the regular crowd. Much like now, where you can go on your damn phone, pull up an app, and like, oh, okay, oh, AJ Styles, or go on Twitter, oh, AJ's injured, Kevin Owens is injured, Emma. They're readily as available.
Very true.
And besides, wrestling was more protected back then too.
Right.
Let's ignore that nonsense. Because it's a bold-faced myth. Wrestlers have always worked hurt. Wrestlers, even in the 90s, the schedule was a problem. But instead of working 200 days a year like they do now, they used to work 300 days a year. Be home at all. WCW had a lighter schedule. They had a lighter travel schedule. Need money. That's why WCW was a very, very popular place. Well, among the reasons why WCW was a popular place, if you're an older worker. However, injuries have always been a problem. Yeah.
It is.
Too much television. Yeah. Is it the fact that the roster is overexposed and they have to keep doing more exciting shit to kind of get you invested? Yeah. All of these things. There's been a constant question for decades and decades. Should pro wrestling have an off season? To argue against it. It gets harder to argue against it every year where you see all of this rash of injuries. And by the way, this rash of injuries happens every year. Whereas you got the same guys who's working matches and matches and matches. Sometimes they're on the road 5 days a week. Well, they got 5 matches. They're already tired. They're already injured. But they go out and they work because
right.
The only time they get off is, well, when they're injured. A, they've always worked injured. B, rash of injuries have always been a thing. C, the roster's overexposed. And D, yeah. And you know what my solution is? Split the roster. Have only a couple tour at a time. That way, guys have time off.
Agreed.
Half the rosters on SmackDown, half the rosters on Raw. Make them both equally as important to each other. And it's not as hard to do as you think it is. Then you only have groups go on the road at a time. This week it's Raw. You get SmackDown. Then Raw, then SmackDown. You alternate it. So, in the end, guys have week on, week off, week on, week off.
Yeah.
Television. And you know what? That way, you can kind of protect the boys. As hard as you think it is. But
no, not at all.
First of all, that bullshit since the 90s.
It drives me crazy because I look around and people go, oh, well, why do they do house shows? Why do they do this? I mean, look, first of all, they're not going to stop doing house shows because this is where they make most of their money.
And that's where you get the fans really invested in the product.
Right. I mean, look, merchandising, get the fans invested. They get the chance to see you in person. you can't get away with house shows. Okay, what Mike suggested is the best way to go. You have to do that's why people want the brand split back. That's why you want the brand split, because when you had that, you didn't have this. Look at right now, we have some guys appear on 3 shows a week. Sometimes they appear on Raw, SmackDown, and Main Event. It's too much. And then if you have a pay-per-view that week, that's you add that on top of it. It's too much. Back when you had Raw and SmackDown and each had their own roster, you didn't. It really did help. I mean, there still was injury epidemics, but they were a little bit more isolated to maybe you could move some guys up in that. When you have the brands
to Randy Orton,
yeah,
they were isolated to Randy Orton,
right? No, but at least if you have the brand split, you have guys you can move up and down. I mean, there's things you can do. I think what you suggested is the right way to go, and you made a really, really good point. And I've seen this point a couple times, and you hate to say it, but that's why you did have rampant drug use, because these guys had to find a way to deal with the pain.
And drinking.
Yeah, and I want to point this out.
Heavy drinking.
I want to point this out too, because and this doesn't this doesn't just pertain to wrestlers, it pertains to athletes in general. If you look around, injuries in athletics in general are up from where they were back in the 90s. Now, you could attribute some of that to stricter drug policies, etc. But the other thing, too, is, with all the different workout routines and all the different things that athletes do now, and the way that their bodies are structured now based off of that. There was, I don't know who I heard say this, but I heard somebody from sports that was an athletic trainer that said, it's always good to be in shape, but some of these guys are in such good shape and they do so much to their bodies to get in that good shape, and to make sure that they have all this lean muscle and not a string of fat on them. Okay, but when you do that, you also kind of leave yourself more vulnerable to injury. So the greater the physical specimen you supposedly are, there is this feeling that you might be more vulnerable to injury. So that's something to keep in mind too when you're thinking about this. Because I've heard that a lot over the last few years. A lot. So, hey, look, it is unfortunate. They have had a lot of injuries this year. A lot. But hey, the human cyborg Cena came back earlier than expected, so as usual, right?
He's a mutant.
Yeah. Speaking of Cena, and over the next couple of weeks, it is expected that Cena, Orton, Rollins, and Wyatt will be back. Therefore, it looks like all 4 will be back in play probably before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. What do you foresee happening for these 4 upon their return? And which of these guys are you the most excited about returning?
So it's what, Rollins?
It's Rollins, Orton, Wyatt. Yeah, Cena, yeah.
I'm more excited. I'm excited to see Bray Wyatt return, because I don't know what they're going to do with him. And they have a chance to do something great with him. I'm a homer. It's been a very long time since we've seen Randy Orton. I'm just RKOing people. So I'm very excited for Orton to show up. Cena, they're going to make a big deal over. He's going to feud with somebody. With Rusev. I'm not as excited for Seth Rollins. It's going to be a big deal. I recognize that. He's going to be a big deal. Rollins is probably going to go against Triple H. Randy Orton is just going to RKO people. Bray Wyatt's going to be creepy as fuck. And John Cena's going to be John Cena. Kill that American grit.
Yeah.
Nobody saw.
Yeah, right. I'm excited about Rollins, and I'm pretty much excited about everybody but Cena. Although I will say this, I mean, unless you have this irrational hate for Cena, which I kind of don't. I mean, I don't like when he, you know, buries people and stuff. But you know what? Here's the thing: without Cena, it is the show has struggled without John Cena. Say what you want about Cena, but any match he has, any feud he has, instantly a big deal. It's just the way it is. You can give him a mid-card match with anybody, and it's going to matter. So he has been missed in that regard, and he will add something to the show. Orton's been missed because it's a guy that has all this credibility and will put guys over, and he's great. And then you have Rollins and the Bray Wyatt was they were going somewhere special with Bray Wyatt. They were that last night he was on TV. I mean, that whole thing with Roman Reigns, that they were going somewhere special, and you kept hearing rumors that WWE finally found a direction, they were going with it. So I'm really excited. I hope they pick that up. I think the face turn's the right move. I hope they pick it up. I hope the crowd is kind of remembers what they did before he went down. I think they should stay the course and do whatever they had planned with him, because they were going somewhere really, really good. And if they pick it up, I think they could do something really special there. Because he had one of the more magical nights of his career before he went down. The crowd and everybody bought into what they were trying to do there, and that's something that you can't replicate. So I really hope they pick that up. And Rollins, I'm excited about, because first of all, he's gonna get popped out of the building. He's gonna turn face whether he wants to or not. They need some. I think they need Rollins. They crapped all over him during his reign, but at the same time, there was something that it was weird, because his reign wasn't that good. But at the same time, there was something in there, like there was a factor there that made you want to keep watching. Like, as bad as WWE was during that time, it still is kind of, but you still wanted to keep watching, because you're like, well, who's going to end it? And I think we all assumed it was probably going to be Roman, but still, like, every time he had a match, you were wondering if that was going to be it. It kind of gave you something. But I'm really fascinated to see how everything comes together for him upon his return. And you're right, he is going to face Triple H at some point. So, yeah. Kevin Owens has recently been a major focal point of every show that he's been on. Do you think that this is a sign that he is going to be the Money in the Bank winner this year? Oh, God. Kevin Owens has been a major focal point of every show he's been on of late. Do you think this is a sign that he's going to be this year's Money in the Bank winner?
I think it's a sign he's due for a really, 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 really huge main event push coming up really, really soon. I think he's probably the favorite for the Money in the Bank. To win it.
I think
he should very definitely be the guy to win it.
He's either winning Money in the Bank or he's getting the main event push anyway. There's no way around it. They're positioning him for something big. It reminds me of the face like main event run that Daniel Bryan had. You know what I mean? Where he had this good run, then he kind of came back down to earth, and then right after WrestleMania, you started seeing more and more and more of him. And you started seeing him at the beginning of shows, in the middle of shows. Like, they start giving him so much screen time. You know what I mean? It's getting to that point where it's like you're starting to see, like, you know what? He had this big push upon when he first came on the scene with Cena. They dropped him back to see what he would do. He turned everything he got into gold. And now they know that he's battle tested and they can do whatever they want to do with him. That's kind of what I think happened. And I do think he's going to win Money in the Bank, but even if he doesn't, I think you're going to see him in the main event this year, and he's going to get a hell of a push out of it. It ain't going to be a temporary one at all. You could tell they know his value. You can tell that they've got big plans for him. It's definitely going to happen this year. You could tell. You could just tell by the way they're treating him. They're giving. I mean, he's getting all these segments with Shane McMahon, which maybe they have him be involved with the Authority. I mean, there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of signs there. I agree that he's definitely going to get a huge push out of this, whether it's the Money in the Bank case or not. Although I do think it will be the Money in the Bank case for what it's worth. What else? We will do 2 more. WWE released several superstars a couple weeks ago. Which of the releases do you think were the biggest mistake, and which of the releases devastated you the most?
Well, I will tell you this: probably not Cameron. Christian and Brooklyn Brawler were just released. They're probably going to be both on Legends contracts. Devastated me the most, despite the fact it was literally months away from happening. Negotiated early his early release. Wade Barrett for a very, very long time, since that first season of NXT. It's like I started watching Wade Barrett's stuff, the WWE, because when Sheamus debuted, I actually tried to watch as much of Sheamus's independent stuff that I could, and 2 guys that kept popping up around him were Drew Galloway, Stu Sanders, better known as Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett is one of the biggest missed opportunities of this current era.
Mm-hmm.
Nexus, but they weren't great. His first singles run, his second singles run, Bad News Barrett. The dude was primed to be the first British-born WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Every step of the way, he was the situation. He was either injured or they went in a different direction. Hell, Daniel Bryan got his title reign. Daniel Bryan got it. Barrett's reign. That one kind of got to be the most, even though it was bound to happen, because he was not going to resign. The other one, talk about wasted opportunity. Pinnacle. He's been doing great heel work the whole time. Well, John Cena just happened to be John Cena. Sandow should have won that match. Sandow should be a former champion. Sandow should be treated better than he is. Went out there and made everything he was given, even the annoying shit like Macho Mandow and Damian Sandow, the guy who copies what everybody says, because that's not annoying. Damian Sandow went out there and made everything work, including the stunt double. Now, who would have thought that would have worked in a million years? But Sandow went out there, he worked his ass off. He and Miz worked together, they clicked. So those 2 things kind of. Cameron, it was bound to happen. Swoggle, El Torito. Hornswoggle got released, even though they weren't going to do anything with him. Always a role for him. I hope Torito's just going to go back to Mexico. I don't remember anybody else who was released.
You know what? If we don't include Wade Barrett, which I don't because he was going to leave anyway. If we don't include Wade Barrett, I think it's Damian Sandow. For me anyway, because I think that's the biggest mistake, and I think that's the most devastating. Because first of all, if you read his interviews, he's a class act. You know, he was just happy that he got the reactions he got. He was an awesome heel. He was awesome as Mizdow. He had a very special somebody that even if you didn't want to push him as a main event star, he's somebody that I think kind of like Miz, you could have always done something with, and he would have gotten a reaction. I think that's something that I think is very special. Not everybody has. So I wouldn't be so easy to let those kind of guys go. I mean, he's got all these ideas to be in TV and stuff, and he probably will. He's very charismatic, but I wouldn't have been so quick to dismiss him. I would have. But that one I think is the biggest one. And to end the night, because this should have been probably part of this question, but it was somebody else asked it, so it's kind of a separate question. With the WWE rumored to be releasing more people after Extreme Rules, who do you expect to see among the releases?
Other than Ryback, be one of those guys who's going to be considered one of the big wasted opportunities of the era.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Rose. A whole lot lost there. I think Heath Slater. I think Heath Slater is going. I think Axel's going to stick around. If ZZ is not released, faith in some of the system. If Hideo Itami gets released, I wouldn't be super surprised. Close he is to returning.
Right.
Surprised if it happens. That's it for the moment.
I'm going to go out on more of a limb here. I've seen a lot of theories. I've seen a lot of speculation. I don't think Heath Slater's going to go because I think they like him. I don't think they're going to get rid of Ryder either because they've been giving him more lately. Adam Rose is obviously going to be released if he hasn't already. That's a given. I've seen a lot of people guessing maybe they'll release Cody Rhodes, but I can't see them doing that. I really can't. I kind of wonder in the back of my mind. This is going to be my biggest pick. I kind of in the back of my mind wonder if Alberto Del Rio might go. I don't know. I got this. I don't have a reason for saying that other than the fact I'm getting a vibe that, remember, how like way back when we had these releases every year, there's always one name on the list. It stunned all of us. And we're like, oh my God, I can't believe that name's on the list. Like the first list that came out a couple weeks ago, that didn't really surprise me any. You know what I mean? But we used to get releases like when WWE did their spring clean. There always was one name on that list that surprised everybody, and I kind of wonder if maybe we'll see that it'll be Del Rio. I don't know. I'm just getting a vibe. This is a vibe. I don't have any reason to say that. I'm probably wrong. I'm just saying. And if the rumors are true about a top diva, then Natalya will probably be one of them. But it'll probably be a mutual thing. But I do think the biggest name on there will probably be Ryback. I think Ryback's going to go. For sure. I think Ryback's going to go. Other than that, I think you might see some people cut from NXT and that. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of – I don't think it's going to be as many people. I think it might be only like 4 or 5. I don't think it'll be as vast a list as which I think was like, 8 or 9 people or something like that. I think it'll be a little less than that. So, all right, that's it. Again, if we didn't get to your question or comment, just be rest assured we do kind of hold on to them. So if they're relevant to some of the big things going on, right, the big topics going on at it, when we do our next wrestling show, we might revisit some of them or address some of them. But not, you can always ask those questions or comments again when we have our next wrestling show as well. So again, we don't. there's no form to this. We try to pick the best one. Some of them are very repetitive, and some of them are similar, or they kind of connect to the other. So we don't, if we didn't get to yours, please don't stop trying. Continue to send stuff in. Just, we only have so much time. We don't want to drag things out beyond the point of, tedious. So I think we got to a lot of the big ones that kind of tied in with a lot of the little ones. So I think this was good. So again, if you feel free to participate on future wrestling shows. And if you didn't get your question or comment addressed, again, you can always send it in again. And we do keep them, too, just in case that they're relevant to whatever we're discussing on the next wrestling show. So keep that in mind. Really quick score update here, as Mike had mentioned the draft lottery earlier, but here's a real score update for you here. Halftime between Cleveland and Toronto, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1. This game on ESPN from Cleveland. Cleveland leads 66-44. So Cleveland off and running here, taking a lot of drama out of it. But then again, I don't expect anything less. I think Cleveland's going to win the series easily. But still. So that's your score update. If you're interested in that game, again, it's on ESPN. Go tune in, although I don't think it's going to be much of a game. So, all right. So with that being said, we are done for the night. As always, just because the show is over does not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to the show. Continue to have your voice heard. Send us your feedback, questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items we want to make sure that we cover. As long as they're related to sports, entertainment, wrestling, please feel free to send them in if they are. You can send us your reactions or comments, things we said on the show, things we talked about. All those things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411, hashtag ITS5. That one, of course, for our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. Or, of course, you can create your own hashtag. If something related to wrestling, you can say hashtag ITS wrestling. If something related to something else, you can do hashtag ITS basketball. Hashtag ITS movies, whatever. Create your own hashtag. Have fun. Just don't be disrespectful or offensive. That's all we ask. We encourage you to, you can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. And make sure you like our page upon finding it. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling. If there's any postponements or delays, especially with me working the other job now, which might be a little bit on Thursday, might be a little bit of a delay. You want to make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information on us. We can let you know about start times and all that stuff. So make sure you keep that in mind. If you'd like to keep up with our show or check out an episode again, or maybe you missed a part of an episode, or maybe you're a fan that wants to check out really old episodes, you have a couple options here. First of all, if you're only interested in our more recent episodes, meaning our episodes from Google Plus and YouTube, pretty much every episode we've had since mid-October till now, till tonight's episode, you can check us out on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 401 on both sites. And you'll have access to both channels, both of our to our channels on both sites. You have access to all the episodes we've ever done on Google Plus and YouTube. So if you like streaming, that might be and seeing us on screen, that might pertain to you as well. So keep that in mind. Just search In the Spotlight 401 on Google Plus and YouTube, and you'll be able to access our channels on both sites and have access to all the episodes we've done here on Google Plus and YouTube from mid-October till tonight. So if you like streaming and stuff, you might you might enjoy that, or if you're more interested in start more recent episodes, you can check us out on both, and you'll have access to those episodes. If you're somebody that is interested in not just our more recent episodes, but also some of our older episodes, maybe every episode we've ever done from 2010 all the way through tonight, you can check us out on Podbean and iTunes. Podbean is our main host site. You can search for us under In the Spotlight 411 on both Podbean and iTunes, and you'll have access to all of our episodes. Every episode we've had since we started in October 2010 all the way up to tonight, they're all in order from most recent to the oldest. Even our Google Plus YouTube episodes are on there. They're transferred from streaming to audio, so they're all in audio format. So if you're somebody that wants to listen to us on the go, you have that option using that resource. Or maybe you're a long time fan and wants to check out old episodes again, or maybe you're a new fan that wants to look back at old episodes for the first time, see what those were about, or maybe just prefer to listen to us and not see us. Whatever the case may be, you can find us on Podbean, our main host site, and of course on iTunes. So keep that in mind. So you got Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes as ways to keep up with our show and look back at episodes, et cetera, et cetera. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Bad.
I want to thank myself for another great show. Pat myself on my back, and thank all of you for your continued support and your contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching, and to those that will be listening as well, thank you to you as well. Again, NBA Eastern Conference Finals Game 1 on ESPN. 66-44 Cleveland at the half. So if you're interested in that game, check that out over there. Philadelphia 76ers won the NBA lottery. No surprise there. So you can check out those lottery results on ESPN.com as well. So there's that. Again, we did our wrestling show tonight. Thursday, our next show will be a sports entertainment combo. We'll cover the NBA playoffs. Obviously, update you on any scores going on of any NBA playoff games going on opposite us during the show on Thursday. If there's any other sports headlines to cover, including the big baseball brawl, we might touch on that a little bit on Thursday. We'll cover it. Obviously, time permits how much we do. We'll also do our usual entertainment stuff, box office beat, TV highlights. Maybe we'll do some entertainment news stuff, depends on time. All that on Thursday. And again, next week we'll only be doing one show. That will be on Tuesday, and that will also be a sports entertainment combo show. So obviously we'll cover everything we have to cover from sports, including the NBA playoffs. And on the entertainment side of things, box office beat, TV highlights, all that stuff on Tuesday. Next Thursday will be preempted for the Memorial Day weekend holiday. So with all that being said, that is it for tonight. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Great Wednesday and a great Thursday. See you back here broadcasting and streaming live here on Google Plus and YouTube. It'll probably be more 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time Thursday. Let's shoot for like 8:15. But if it's 8:30, don't be surprised. So again, we'll see you around 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time Thursday night for our next show. That's Eastern time, of course. Until then, have a good night, everybody.